Hello everybody, it's Erica and I am coming to you way casual today. I apologize for my wet hair. Those of you who have curly hair understand you can't rush the drying process or else you end up with a fro. So pretty much it means that you have to get ready on time, otherwise you're going to show up to your appointment or whatever with wet hair, like this action right now. So Becca joined me. Hey Becca. Thanks for joining. Oh, so come join me live. We're gonna talk about fun stuff, but I'm gonna chill here for a little bit and gobble up some airspace on this lovely, lovely day. Show you my little view. Sure, there's a more technical way to show y'all that, but that's the tour you're getting. So. Hope everybody is having a good week. I feel like things are kind of feeling back to normal, which feels good, but also has felt really hectic this week. It's just lots of appointments. Of course, it looks different. It's a lot of Zoom calls, but buyers are coming out of the woodwork, sellers are coming out of the woodwork, preparing things for them, helping my agents, juggling things in our world. It's just been a lot, and this week has flown by, so I can't believe it's Thursday already. So anyway, we'll wait a little bit longer, see if anybody else comes and joins us. All right, hey Huntington, thanks for joining. So some of y'all, if you join this or watch it later on live, the plan was to do a Facebook Live so that I could show you all my computer screen and show you the tool I talked a bit about last week, BombBomb, but we kind of had some issues with pushing that message out. Facebook has kind of changed its rules about allowing us to push some of our advertisements, and so it was kind of a flop, honestly. So I'm just hopping on Instagram, see if anybody joins me for Threshold Thursday. I forgot to grab my kombucha. Y'all, I'm so excited. I have 3 bottles. I've got those really cool swing top bottles, the ones that latch down and hold the air in. Hey Leia. Hello. So yeah, I got a package of 6 swing top bottles from Amazon, and I drained off 3 bottles, so it's like 36 ounces from my giant continuous brew kombucha. And then I chopped a bunch of fruit and put it in there, and I'm trying these little carbonation tabs too because I like things really fizzy. And so that's been hanging out in there for another like 4 days. So it does a second fermentation basically where all the fruit juices leach out and flavor it and make it a little bit sweeter. And so I'm going to pop the cork, so to speak, on some, but I can't really do that with one hand. You gotta have both hands. So I can't do it right here right now, but I'll have my husband film me. What? Leia, I didn't know you were into kombucha. You did not tell me such things, but that's awesome. I'm excited. That means if my SCOBY dies, then I know where to come and get some more. Yes, Kenna Tenhave. I think my husband is talking to your husband as we speak, or he was when I came out of the door. So Kenna, you should post the link to your store. She has a really cool store called Sage Threads. She does a lot of her sales online too. And hello, Kenna. Really good stuff. Really cute. She's got a great sense of style. So her home is really cute too. Look forward to seeing what y'all have done in the house, setting up all your furniture. It's a process, but there you go. SageThreadsCo.com. Y'all need to go check it out. Leia, you would love it. And Kenna, you need to go to Leia's site and check out her stuff. Steve! Hey, Steve. How's it going? Yes. Oh, okay. Our husbands are talking. Gotcha. So yeah, Kenna, you need to see Leia's bags that she has. They're awesome, and she does jewelry, and she even made me some cute COVID masks. And Leia, you need to check out Sage Threads because you'd like it for sure. So thanks everybody for joining. Steve, I hope you're doing well. Give you a wave. So yeah, kind of what I decided to talk about today. Like I said, I was supposed to be doing a Facebook Live and was going to share my screen. For those of you who were here last week, I was talking a lot about how to use a tool called BombBomb, which is basically a way to send video emails into people's inboxes, texts, and things like that. It's a really great tool. Oh, good. Glad you like my comments, Leia. And so I was going to do a whole screen share, and honestly, I was going to do I had an Eventbrite event set up and was going to just kind of parlay that right into the Facebook Live going over how to use BombBomb, but we had some issues with getting that message out, do some Facebook advertising rules, so I just decided to go back to my new usual, which is Threshold Thursdays on Thursday at noon. So kind of what I wanted to talk about today, and this could be relatable, I think, for folks, that are in sales outside of real estate, so I'll try to help you make that transition. I spend a lot of my time trying to help my agents figure out ways to cultivate business, because that really is the hardest part of real estate. I can definitely teach people how to cross the T's, dot the I's, fill out the contracts, negotiate, represent the client well. But honestly, the biggest battle, the biggest sales part of the business is really just getting the client to choose to work with you. And I think that's the biggest challenge in any business, is just having a good pipeline and having people that know about you and want to use your services. So I'm going to trying to decide which tip or trick I want to start with. Let's start with networking events. So right now it's a little bit different, obviously, because we can't really be in large groups. But theoretically, I think that networking opportunities, hey, I'm gonna interrupt myself. John Hallmark, hello. John, you should totally, oh, hello, thanks for joining. You should totally chime in, because John is an inspector now. Little side story. He and I have known each other, it's kind of scary, for like 20 years probably, working at a Young Life camp in Colorado many moons ago. Hi. And stayed in touch, and I sold him his house in East Austin when I was still working there, and it was so cool because that area was starting to transition, and I'm sure I just wouldn't even recognize it anymore. John has always been super crafty and made it a really cool home. I haven't been there in a little while now, but now he has his own inspection business, which is so cool, and I know he's just awesome at it, and I see all of his stuff he's doing to stay in front of realtors and things like that. So hopefully some of this will kind of parlay into that. But anyway, okay, so networking events, the big thing is that a lot of people go and they're like handing out cards. Okay, it should actually be the other way around. You want to get their cards. Because if you just hand off your business card, you don't know if that person's going to keep the card. And honestly, in such a digital age, it's really easy for people to just throw it in the trash. They lose it. It falls into the floorboard of their car. They can't remember you. And so then you just lost an opportunity. So what you really want to do is capture that person's information, and then you put them into your systems. So kind of just touching on that in a high level, and we've talked about this in the past. Like for me, if I add somebody, they're going in my Gmail contacts. I'm going to put a reminder to give them a call periodically. Y'all know I love phone calls. I think they're old school and they're super important. I'm going to, classify that relationship as I determine how invested and willing that person is to partner in my success. And people who are more invested, they're going to get more love and attention from me. And people who are less invested, I'm going to stay in contact with them through something simple like the BombBomb video newsletter, so that we don't totally lose touch without going overboard and investing in that relationship on a business level. So I always like to say, it sounds kind of awful, like you're rating people, but you kind of have to do that. You kind of have to, when you have your business hat on, you have to think about who it is that's invested in your business and who you are able to therefore invest in as well. And if you have people that aren't invested in your business, but you just love hanging out with them, awesome. Like, I love having friends like that. I have a friend that she has a realtor that I know that is who she always uses. And so guess what? When I'm hanging out with her, I can totally just be myself. I don't have to put on airs. If things are hard, I can just tell her, because I don't feel like, oh, this could be a future interview. So anyway, that's a little bit about classifying, but you want to get people's information. That way you can follow up with them. You know that if you have their information, that you're going to call them 4 times a year, that they're going to get a birthday, gift or email from you, that they're going to get a Christmas, card or email or whatever you do, that they're going to get invited to your client appreciation party. They're going to get this, they're going to get that. So you know that you can stay in touch with them potentially, tens of times throughout the year. Whereas if you just give them that one card, you may never hear from them again. So it's on you to figure out how to stay in touch with that person. And the reality is, I know with my business, John, I bet your business is the same way. I mean, even Kenna and Leah with their clothing and bags. I love how many great business owners I have on here, by the way. A lot of times people don't necessarily reject your message when you present it, but it's just not the right time. I mean, in real estate especially, people actually move a lot more often than you think, probably every few years on average. But a lot of times you might see somebody and your service is not on their radar at all. And so it's your job to drip on them so you can stay in front, stay top of mind, so that as soon as they do need something, or they hear of somebody who says, oh, we've got a 3rd kid and our house is just getting too small, they go, you know what, you need to call Erica, because they've seen all of Erica's emails and info coming in. Okay, John, I love handwritten notes as the second contact point. Absolutely. And I've seen you post your handwritten notes. I am a big believer. I put handwritten notes. I mean, it might even be above phone calls, and honestly, they're kind of easier. There's something about when the phone's ringing, you get kind of nervous and you're like, oh gosh, what are people going to think of me? They're going to wonder why I'm calling them. They're going to think I'm a bother. And the handwritten note, you can just write it when it's convenient. And these days, everybody gets so much junk mail that, first of all, they get junk email, and then they go to the mailbox hoping for something good, and it's junk mail. And then you've got your nice little handwritten note. Agreed. That is a very nice touch. So that's a word on that. I'm going to tell you another one of my favorite ways to grow my database. This is probably one of my favorites. When I actually moved from Austin and came back to Houston and I had to start all over, it was a very daunting task because real estate is so relational. I had started real estate during the mortgage meltdown. I had gotten through that, had finally kind of pushed through all my newbie jitters and all that kind of thing, and just said, you know what? I know what I'm doing, and I just need to suck it up, and I've got to let people know that I'm a realtor. Because a lot of what would happen to me when I was younger in the business is I knew people, they knew me, and they knew that I was a realtor. So therefore I thought that meant, well, obviously, automatically, they're going to want me to sell their house. And I figured out, does not work that way. You've got to be in front of them. So anyway, I come to Houston, I'm starting all over. But you know what? I'm from Houston and I've got hundreds of friends on Facebook. So my people that tell me, oh, my database is too small, I don't know anybody, I'm like, yeah, right. Look at all of your friends on Facebook. And they'll say, well, but those aren't like really friends. It's like, well, they could be if you chose to invest in them. And so one tool that I liked to use, and I don't know, for some reason I don't get it anymore, but I think it's just because of my settings on Facebook. But definitely every day you want to go in there and see whose birthday it is. And then I would use the email that Facebook would send me that said, here are the upcoming birthdays. And I would use, some of y'all have heard about some of my kind of like email tips and tricks. I would use a thing called Boomerang, which would shoot the email back to me a week later. So now these people's birthdays have happened a week before. So the week of the birthday, happy birthday, hope you're doing great, all that. The next week, I go through that email, I look and I see, hey, who is still in Houston that I know? And y'all, seriously, I met with some people that I moved back in 2011. I hadn't seen people, I can't even believe I've been here that long now, but people that I hadn't seen in 11 years, maybe even like 15 years if they were an upperclassman in high school and, had been long gone before I was. But anyway, I would just say, hey, you don't know me as a realtor, but you know the kind of person I am, the level of integrity that I operate with. Would you be open to keeping me in mind whenever you hear of somebody looking to buy or sell? Of course, Erica, of course. Well, hey, I've got a newsletter. I'd love to add you. I really try to send out some high value information. You can unsubscribe at any time. Would you be open to that? Absolutely. So you start incorporating them into your database. And there are a bunch of different ways to approach that. I am a person who I really do love being with people, and I never wanted somebody to think that I was using them. And so, you can take the approach that I just talked about, like that definitely works for a quick Facebook message or whatever, and you'd be surprised at how many people want to help you. Especially right now with Corona, I feel like people want to help small business owners. And if you're an independent contractor, independent, inspector, agent, whatever you do, people want to help you out. You just have to ask. Like, it's the craziest, easiest thing, but somehow it's super hard, I think, because we have pride and we don't want to have to ask for business. But if you want to survive and thrive, you have to ask for business. Okay, so you could kind of take that approach, or you could take the approach of, like, a lot of times I like to move interactions to face. So let's get coffee, let's get lunch, whatever. And when I go, I'm genuinely enjoying catching up. Like, I haven't done the whole, I'm a realtor, blah, 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 pushy kind of a dialogue. It's just been like, hey, let's get together and catch up. And naturally, people are going to ask you, well, what have you been up to these years? What are you doing? Whatever. And then that obviously gave me an easy way to let them know that I was in real estate. And if I felt like it was too pushy to ask, if they're good enough friends, or I feel like the conversation went well, then again, I would have that same dialogue of like, would you mind if I just checked in with you a few times a year and maybe send my newsletter just so that I can kind of stay in touch with you, and maybe if you thought of somebody, you could send them to me. And again, they're going to want to help you out. And let me say this, if they say, gosh, Erica, I'd love to, but my aunt is a realtor and there's just no way that I could not use her, like my family would disown me. Okay, beautiful. Then I know that person goes to, for example, a C in my database, which C sounds bad. It's not bad. It just means they're going to get some of my automated things, but I'm not going to work really, really hard to grind out that relationship from a business perspective, because I know that they're already promised to somebody else. So just to shift your mindset, that is not rejection. They actually made your job a lot easier, because now like I said, you can just hang out with them because you enjoy them, and there's somebody that you can be honest with about the highs and the lows of your business without feeling like you might miss an opportunity. So anyway, if that approach, isn't comfortable for you, then you could kind of do what I call the two-step. So you have the lunch, whatever, and then later on, a few days later, you could say, hey, you know what? I'm updating my database and I would just love if I could add you, blah, 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 same kind of a script. And so then that makes the person not feel like they're totally used. And on that note, when you're making your periodic calls to clients, one thing I teach my agents, again, because they have a fear that it's going to be perceived like they're just using people. And we don't want to be that way. So a lot of times what I do is when I call a friend and, they know my number and they're like, oh, hey, Erica, what's up? Then I just go ahead and tell them exactly why I'm calling, to say, oh, I've actually got my business hat on today. I'm trying to be good and make my calls. I know you will let me know if you know of anybody, but I just thought I'd ask, any coworkers or neighbors mentioned a move? No, Erica, but yes, I'll always keep you in mind. So that allows me to get out what I want and then say, hey, well, thanks so much. By the way, how are the kids? Do you want to grab lunch? Whatever, not the schmoozy and then sneaking in the business thing. It's like, let's just go ahead and ask what we're asking for. Tell them I've got on my business hat today. Tell them I'm making business calls today. And then I'm genuine, which people like. So the third kind of little tip that I wanted to give you, and this I know works for real estate, and I think it can work for a lot of other industries. Again, you're going to have to swallow your pride. I call it canvassing. So a lot of realtors, they are looking for deals just like all over the place and all these fancy ways. They're going to spend a bunch of money on it and all that. I don't know who came up with the concept, but there's a concept of diamonds being in your own backyard. It's like you're looking everywhere, but really the low-hanging fruit, the easy opportunities, it's in your sphere. It's in your own backyard. So in order to take advantage of that, like if you're in a neighborhood, why not, if you're a realtor, or let's use the example of John, you can just kind of knock on the doors, have a little flyer, a little item of value that you can pass along, and just say, hey, I'm Erica, I know we see each other when I'm walking the dogs, but I've never really introduced myself, and I'm not sure if you're aware, but I'm actually in real estate. So I just wanted you to know I'm a resource if you ever have any questions, or if you ever need any vendors or recommendations, folks to help you with your home. I would love to be a resource to you. And, hopefully they're going to be like, oh, okay, that's great. And again, this is an opportunity for you to start figuring out, where do these people fit in your database? If there's somebody who says, oh gosh, Erica, yeah, tell me what's going on in the market, blah, blah, blah. Okay, then my radar goes up. I know they're interested in the industry in which I work. I say, well, here's what's going on, blah, blah, blah. By the way, if you like that kind of information, I have a newsletter that I send out with these videos. It's really cool. Could I add you and you could unsubscribe anytime? Yeah. Okay, great. And you can decide kind of how far you want to push it. You know what? I don't have your number. Here's an idea too. By the way, give them your number and ask them to text their email to you. So now you've got a good phone number and you've got the email and you know where they live. So you've got their address so you can send them a Christmas card. I mean, this is kind of the whole thing when we talk about building your database. That's why it's building. It's a process. You're getting these little bits and pieces of data. You don't always get everything all at once. But that's a great way, because how depressing is it when you leave your driveway and you see the house 2 doors down and it's got somebody else's sign in it? It's really frustrating. You're like, man, I feel like if they had just known that I was a realtor, that I wasn't a secret agent, that they might have actually used me. So don't be the secret agent. Don't be the secret salesperson, whatever your business is. Reach out, let people know what you do. And I think, again, a lot of it comes down to pride. We feel like, well, we don't want to go knock on doors. That's beneath us. I went to college so I could not knock on doors. Suck it up. You know what? All the big partners and all the big consulting firms, I did consulting right out of school. Do you know what the partners do? They sell work. Selling makes the money. If you don't market, if you don't sell, you don't have any clients. One of the mistakes that I made in the beginning of real estate was I'm very cerebral. I wanted to learn everything because I wanted to do it perfectly. I didn't ever want to make a mistake. Okay, but you can't really learn until you do, and you can't do until you get the client. But I was too afraid to market to the client because I had a fear of failure. And again, pride. Like, oh gosh, Erica left this corporate job and now she's knocking on doors. Oh, poor thing. No, get over it. I love what I do. I knocked on doors and it's treated me well. So swallow your pride, put on some music that pumps you up, read whatever you need to get you in a positive mindset, and just go do it. And you'll find that if you do something, that feels kind of cold like that, the first one, it's kind of awkward, and then your adrenaline calms down. You're like, that wasn't bad at all. Like, why have I been procrastinating on this? Why have I been afraid of this? This was actually super easy, and I kind of enjoyed that person, and now I sort of have like another neighborhood friend. So, you got to pay attention to soliciting rules and things like that. But again, if you're coming at people from contribution, I'm one of your neighbors, I just want to make sure you knew me, here's my information. If you ever need anything, I'm here. People like that. And if they don't, well, good. Now you know that that's not a relationship that you need to invest in. So, hey, Austin, Texas Home Staging, thank you for joining us. And Leah says, I'm pumping myself to start one of these days. Yeah, Leah and I were actually having this conversation. Our conversation, Leah, is what made me think that I needed to share this to people, because I think it's a long lost art. Hey, Allison, thanks for joining. Okay, so to recap, there are a lot of different ways to add people to your database. Thanks for the wave. Hey, Damon. Hello, hello. He's been chatting with Kenna's husband. We've been talking about y'all. Kenna's joined Damon. You see her? And she sent her link to Sage Threads. Okay, John Hallmark, you should take your lovely wife, Hannah, to Sage Threads. It's out in Lakeway. Find her a little something special, or go online. Love just all the connecting. So anyway, like I said, to recap, adding to your database, network, and get the other person's information. And then add them to your database and reach out to them systematically. John had the great idea of handwritten notes. We love the personal touches. We also talked about my little Facebook trick and using your Facebook community as a way to remind yourself. That's my husband trying to open the door. You're interrupting my concentration. That's creepy. Give me a line from The Princess Bride.
Princess Bride?
Yeah, you look like Mad Miracle Max.
Have fun storming the castle.
That's it. You think that'll make it? It would take a miracle. I know John Hallmark knows those lines.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so, sorry, I'm so rambly on these things because I can't ever get a straight line of thought before being interrupted. But anyway, So the second trick that we were talking about was using your Facebook community to help jog your memory of relationships that you need to take from virtual relationships to real face-to-face relationships and getting those people on board. And the third thing that we talked about was canvassing your neighborhood. Maybe, okay, like for the in the example of John and being an inspector. So obviously his canvassing is he's going to real estate offices and he's reaching out. Hey, I'm John, if you ever need anything, blah, blah, blah. I know I've seen him take cookies to offices. I think maybe Tiff's Treats started in Austin. It's a really good way. I love Tiff's. I use them all the time too. So anyway, figure out kind of what does canvassing look like for your business or, what you're doing. And then, go for it. So anyway, I hope this is helpful. So probably now what I will try to do for next week is do a Facebook Live because I want to be able to show y'all my screen. And I will show you BombBomb because I think if you're in sales, it is a really great tool. I feel like I haven't picked on Kenna enough if she's still here, but not picked on her in a bad way. But like for her, that could be a really great tool. She could send a little video email and be like, hey, I'm wearing the new romper we just got in. It's super cute, blah, blah, blah. If you're looking for a Mother's Day gift, you should check it out, all that kind of thing. So BombBomb is a great tool for business owners for sure. So I want to kind of show y'all all the different applications. So I'll plan to do that Facebook Live. Oh yes, you are very welcome for your Tiff's Treats yesterday, Allison. So maybe I lack creativity, but yesterday was Allison's birthday, and she's one of my agents, so I sent her some cookies and I made her probably eat more sweets than she wanted to, but I told her it's her birthday. You get to eat whatever you want on your birthday, like it doesn't count. It's all calorie free. So anyway, thanks for joining me for Threshold Thursday. I hope you join me again. I really loved having folks from a variety of backgrounds. And I'm going to kind of sprinkle in some different things too. If you check out my live, for example, I just did a video. It sounds so silly, but it's called the Personal Tickler File System. But it is what I live by. Sorry, this mosquito's bothering me. To make sure that I don't forget things. So you need to check out that video. I even caught my husband watching it last night. It's super helpful. Just so that you don't have piles of paper on your desk and lose track of important things that you need to do. So I'll kind of mix it. I won't make it all sales. I feel like I'm doing a lot of sales, database, whatever kind of stuff, because it's just so important. So I kind of have to hit that at the front and hit it periodically. Because again, if we don't have clients, then the how do I manage this? How do I organize this? Whatever, it really doesn't matter because we're not making any money. And so soon we won't have anything to organize or do. So it's kind of got to start with the basics of building your database and having people that you reach out to. So thanks again for joining. If you want to be a realtor, I don't know that any of y'all do, because I know most of y'all and I know what you do. And the ones that are realtors on here, they're with me. I got good people. But if you know somebody that's looking for a great brokerage to be a part of, we got a pretty great thing. Would love your referrals. If we can do anything to help you, if you have any real estate needs, want to buy, sell, we'd love to help you with that as well. So feel free to private message me. Would love to hear from you. Let me know what you like, what you didn't like, what you'd like me to talk about in the future, perhaps, or if there's anything we can do to help you otherwise. Yes, Becca said she just bought some folders off of Amazon to start using the Tickler system. I love it. It's so good. It's so good. It's so basic. Like, I've literally packed up my little 31 folders and taken them with me when I've been at my in-laws during the holidays or things like that, because I just can't live without it. It's like the best thing to keep you organized. So, all right, we'll talk to you later. Bye.